IELTS Sample Speaking Test, Band 8 Friendship.
Part 1. 1. Do you have a good memory? Yes, I would say I have a fairly sharp memory, especially when it comes to emotional events or things I'm genuinely interested in. For example, I can vividly recall conversations I had years ago, but I sometimes forget mundane things like where I left my keys. 2. What do you usually try to remember? I usually make an effort to remember things related to work and personal commitments, like meeting schedules, birthdays, or important deadlines. I also try to commit to memory-inspiring quotes or life lessons I come across, as they help me stay grounded and motivated.
3. How do you help yourself remember things? I rely on a mix of techniques. For short-term tasks, I use digital reminders and to-do lists, which help me stay organized. For long-term retention, I often use mnemonics, repetition, and sometimes even associate information with a story or image. This makes it stick better in my mind. Four. Have you ever forgotten something important? Yes, unfortunately. A few years ago, I completely forgot my best friend's birthday. It was an honest mistake, but I felt terribly guilty. Since then, I've made a habit of setting reminders days in advance to make sure it never happens again. Part 2. Describe a person you disliked at first, but ended up being friends with. You should say who the person is, when and where you met this person, why you disliked this person, and explain how you became friends with this person. Describe a person you disliked at first, but ended up being friends with who the person is. One person I initially disliked but eventually became close friends with is Min, a classmate from my first year at university. When and where you met this person? We first met during a group project in our Introduction to Psychology class. The professor randomly assigned team members, so I didn't have a choice. Why you disliked this person? Min struck me as arrogant and bossy from the get-go. He often interrupted others, dismissed different opinions, and insisted on doing things his own way. At that time, I thought he was just trying to show off and dominate the group. What annoyed me the most was his condescending tone whenever he gave feedback. It felt like he thought he was smarter than everyone else. Because of this, I avoided interacting with him outside of group meetings and honestly couldn't wait for the project to be over. And explain how you became friends with this person. However, something shifted during our second project together in the following semester. This time, I observed that Min took a completely different approach. He actually listened to everyone, delegated tasks fairly, and even stayed behind after class to help a struggling team member. Out of curiosity, I asked him about the change, and he told me he had received some harsh but constructive feedback from another professor and realized how poorly he had been treating people. Now, Min is one of my closest friends, and I'm grateful we got the chance to understand each other better. This experience taught me that first impressions can be misleading, and people are capable of change if they're willing to reflect and grow. Part 3. Making friends. 1. Do you make new friends easily? Why or why not? Yes, I do. I'm quite sociable and open to new experiences, which makes it easier for me to start conversations and connect with others. I also enjoy learning about different perspectives, so I often find common ground even with people who seem different from me at first. Two. What kinds of people are easy to get along with? People who are genuine, respectful, and have a good sense of humor are usually easy to get along with. It's much more comfortable being around those who are non-judgmental and willing to listen, rather than people who dominate conversations or dismiss others' opinions. Three. Do you think it is easy to make friends in your country? Generally, yes. People in my country tend to be warm and welcoming, especially in schools or social gatherings. That said, forming deep friendships still takes time and mutual effort. Being friendly is one thing, building trust is another. Four. What do you think makes someone a good friend? A good friend is someone who is loyal, understanding, and trustworthy. They stand by you in both good times and bad, and they're not afraid to tell you the truth, even if it's something you may not want to hear. Emotional support and mutual respect are essential in any strong friendship. Five. Do good friends always have to agree with each other? Not at all. In fact, disagreements can be healthy in a friendship as long as both people are willing to listen and communicate respectfully. Differences in opinion can lead to deeper understanding, and good friends don't feel threatened by healthy debate. Six. How can people maintain a long-lasting friendship? Consistency, communication, and effort are key. Long-lasting friendships require people to stay in touch, show support during important moments, and forgive each other's mistakes. It also helps when both friends are willing to adapt as life circumstances change. Seven. Is it better to have a few close friends or many acquaintances? Why? Personally, I prefer having a few close friends. While acquaintances are great for networking or casual socializing, close friends provide emotional depth and genuine connection. In times of need, it's the close friends who truly show up for you. Eight. How has the way people make friends changed in recent years? The rise of digital technology and social media has changed how people form and maintain friendships. These days, it's common to meet people online through shared interests or communities. While this can widen our social circles, it sometimes makes friendships feel less personal. Nine. Do you think social media helps or harms friendships? It depends on how it's used. On one hand, it helps people stay connected across long distances and share life updates easily. On the other hand, it can lead to misunderstandings, jealousy, or superficial relationships if people rely too heavily on online interactions without real-life connection.